Welcome to QCC's Face the Region. Face the Region is produced by Quinsigamond Community College to assist our region in attaining educational, economic, and personal prosperity. Now, here's your host, WCRN's Hank Stoltz.
Good afternoon, I'm Hank Stoltz, and this is QCC's Face the Region. One of the things that we have been doing the last couple of weeks, and today we're going to be doing the same, is we've been taking a look at some of the folks that we have talked to over the last couple of years, and we've been introducing you to them in a new way, a way in which you can really get to know a little bit about them and about their background. We're going to do that today with Assistant Professor of Manufacturing Technology, the coordinator of the Manufacturing Technology Program, Lee Duerden. Lee, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us, Hank.
So, as I said, we've talked in the past. You've come on the show on QCC's Face the Region and talk about things that are happening in your department. So, tell us first, and then we want to find out a little bit about your background. But just tell us a little bit about your role here at the college, Manufacturing Technology, and the coordinator of the Manufacturing Technology Program.
Yeah, sure. Well, this I'm closing out my 6th year now at Quinsig. And my role over the past 6 years is really to try and transform the program from a textbook type of traditional further ed program into a skills-based program. And the reason being is that's what industry they're looking to hire skills. They're looking to hire good people with a decent set of foundational skills. And you can only teach these skills practically. You know, it's like studying nursing out of a book versus practical nursing. People want practical nursing.
You can read it, and you can read it over and over and memorize it, but until you've done it, it really wouldn't make sense. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
So a lot of what I've done is try and build up the equipment here at the college to replicate what's out there in industry, and obviously develop curriculum to support students working with that equipment. And we're fortunate right now to be commissioning a considerable grant influx of equipment. So it's exciting, but it's tiring.
Yeah,
learning. You buy a new TV and you have to learn how to use it. Well, we're buying some state-of-the-art manufacturing equipment, and it's going to take a long time for us to, really get into how it works.
It must be so exciting, though. Here for you, 6 years at QCC, but not only for the students, but for yourself as well, to keep being on the cutting edge, to keep challenging yourself.
Yeah, no, it is. It's there's never a dull moment here at Quinsig. Whether we're on a radio show, or whether we're in a class, or whether we're at a training session or a curriculum development meeting, there's never a dull session. They keep the faculty very, very busy.
All right, so you came here 6 years ago. How did you come to be here? How did you get interested in what it is that you do?
Oh, well, I grew up in England. I grew up in a farming community and realized I wasn't much of a farmer. So I ended up taking on a manufacturing engineering apprenticeship. Did that for 4 years. Went to college, got my bachelor's degree.
Now, just let me go back up just for a second. Is that something different than is that like going to the high school here when you had the apprenticeship, or this would be completely different? Is there anything?
It is different.
Yeah,
It is different. And there are a lot of companies that are in the States that look at the European apprentice model. It's a very strong model because you're essentially turning up at 8 in the morning, you're coming home at 5 at night, you're working.
How old?
1 day a week.
When you started?
17.
17, so from like 17 to 21.
Yeah. So you're working full time. Really, you're being trained full time. You're spending 1 day a week at college, learning the theory. But, there's no escaping what you are trying to do. When you spend, this a full year in the training school learning to run equipment, and then you go to the design office and then to marketing and manufacturing, and you spend months and months in each department learning what's actually going on in that company.
Yeah, I mean, I
So-
guess I just take what you just told me about your background, and I think about the way that you're transforming things here at Quinsig, and I think about how some of that obviously is coming into play. You can learn
Oh.
so much from the book, but you got to be hands-on.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. I certainly wouldn't be as comfortable with technical manufacturing problems had I not done the apprenticeship.
So then at the time here in the States when a lot of people are getting out of college at 21, you've already got 4 years under your belt, but then you went to college.
Yes, yeah.
So so now you had the hands-on and you understood how it worked, but then you went back to college for the theory or to tell the professors why it was that what they were teaching didn't work. You got to get out there in the real world.
Essentially, you come out with an equivalent of an associate's degree. And not realizing it at the time, somebody had said, you can apply to university now. Now you have this piece of paper. And I hadn't really considered it. So I applied, I got accepted, and 4 years later, with wonderful memories, I had a bachelor's degree and moved on from there. But I knew the impact of having a bachelor's degree would have on my career.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, so again, very much here, of course, students at Quinsigamond Community College, right? You can get that certificate. That gives you probably one level of income throughout your life. You get the associate's degree. They say that, the amount of money that you'll be able to earn over the course of your lifetime is significantly raised. You get a bachelor's degree, you get a master's degree, but it just keeps raising that amount of money that you'll be able to earn over a lifetime.
Right.
Okay, so we've got you coming out of university about 25 over in England. How do you end up here at Quinsigamond Community College?
Well, I worked in London for a few years for a fuel injection company, and what's traditional for Europeans is to take a year off and go travel, go explore the world a little bit. So I had decided that I was going to save up and I was going to go and do a charity expedition in Costa Rica with a company or a charity called Rally International, and quite a famous charity in the UK. Prince William has done an expedition with them. But essentially I project managed the build of a school in an island in Costa Rica, Isla de Shira. We spent 3 months there, living in a hammock, in the jungle with very little luxuries. We took in volunteers from around the world that came to help. So I did that, decided that I'd like traveling a little bit more because that was only 3 months. So I went through Central America and finally ran out of money and joined a private yacht where I served as an engineer for a couple of years. And we were in, summer in Newport, winter in the Caribbean, and I met my now wife whilst I was on the boat, and we got married. I got off the boat, and she's a Worcesterite, so here I am.
No kidding. So that's how you ended up here. What an adventure!
Yeah, it is.
I mean, really, it is. It was really an adventure. What an interesting road to lead you here.
Right.
Hey, we're going to find out. We're going to find out more about Lee Duerden. We're very glad that he is with us. Assistant Professor of Manufacturing Technology, Coordinator of the Manufacturing Technology Program. And again, this is one of our faculty spotlights. And what we're doing is we're simply bringing back some of the many people that we have talked to after the last couple of years. And every once in a while, we'll be able to sit down with them, get them a little bit more in depth, and you get to hear their story. And we just heard a good one with Lee. Much more to come on News and Talk Radio, AM 830 WCRN. QCC's Face the Region continues on News and Talk Radio, AM 830 WCRN. I'm Hank Stoltz, and we're with Assistant Professor of Manufacturing Technology, the coordinator of the Manufacturing Technology Program, Lee Duerden, and we're just finding out more about him and a little bit about. And I think we've really heard some of his philosophy when it comes to what he is doing here at Quinsigamond Community College, but also a little bit about how his life is infused that philosophy. So we got to hear a great story. So you're here in Worcester because this is where your wife is from. At one point, did you suggest, hey, why don't we stay on the yacht? Maybe I can smuggle you aboard. This part isn't pretty good. Or maybe we ought to end up in London instead of in Worcester.
Well, the first one's very easy to answer. She used to get seasick tied up at the boat at the dock with no swells at all. So that wasn't really
in the cards.
happen. And secondly, trying to drag my wife away from her very close Italian family would be impossible.
Right here.
We've been over. We've been to, I've taken her to London
Sure.
a few times, Paris, Holland, but I think it would be very difficult to drag her away from her family.
All roads lead to Worcester. So
Yeah.
so here you are. So you ended up here, but you didn't end up at QCC right away.
No. I worked. I continued my work as an engineer, land-based. Worked for several companies. Loved my jobs. But there was a point where my wife's family, again, they're quite a lot of educators in the family, said you might want to consider teaching. It's a good life. You get a lot of enjoyment out of it. So I did. I ended up at Auburn Middle School, where I taught technology engineering for 3 years, and decided that community college might be a good step for me.
There are so many people. Now that we've done this a few times, I mean, it is interesting to me that pretty much everyone came from a background in which whatever their area of expertise is that they are teaching here at QCC, they lived it. I mean, some people, it was, like 20, 30 years, and then they decided, hey, I'm going to make a change, and I'm going to go and I'm going to teach somebody about this. It's very passionate for people, but it would seem to me that it's not an easy thing suddenly to become a professor at a college. I mean, you're there, you're working in that field, but to now teach it to someone else, and I have to say, Lee, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but some students who are probably going to be really into it, and some who, this is a course, and I'll, and particularly in high school, maybe I'll like it, maybe I won't, but varying levels of interest, I guess I would say. How did you?
Yeah. You try. I think any teacher would rely heavily on their background and bring those into the classroom. It is difficult. It is definitely difficult. It's difficult with particularly a middle school age audience to keep them interested and keep them safe, because these environments do have dangerous, an element of danger anyway, but keep them safe, keep them interested, and keep them learning, really. So one of our big philosophies within manufacturing here is to actually throw a lot of math at them, and we really can't avoid that. Math is such a fundamental part of what we teach. The students respond pretty well to it, to be honest. But at a middle school level, it's a little less. Their hands go up and say, "This is not math class."
I don't do math. Something that you just said, I'm kind of curious about. Do you find that? So you raise the bar and you say, "Listen, you can't avoid this. The bar is set this high," and that the students respond. In other words, it makes sense to raise the bar higher, because students want to. I mean, they're here. They clearly want to learn. They're interested in the class.
Yeah, we have a quite a powerful weapon that we realized how powerful it was a few weeks ago. We have students that are looking at this new equipment that we have. They want to use this new equipment, but if they can't do the math to figure out how to move that cutting tool in set direction by a set amount, they're not going to use the equipment. So they're looking at their peers and their colleagues using this new equipment because they've completed the math section, and generally that encourages them to get it done or seek help or try and solve this mathematical problem, because that's what they need to actually run the machine. Yeah, and they do. It's a very powerful tool that we have. It's a nice,
yeah.
gleaming, brand new machine that they can't wait to get their hands on. But do the math first, then you can do run the machine.
I love that. So you had to go back to school, then I'm assuming, to be able to become first a middle school teacher and then a teacher here at QCC, or does life experience count for?
You have to do the middle school. You have to pass the Massachusetts teachers tests in order to do that. So I did that. Coming here, my experience as an engineer, my education as an engineer, was what Quinsig were looking for. They were looking for, a practical instructor, and they got that. And I'm still at school right now. I'm studying WPI for my master's, and will continue to study. So
sound interesting. Well, no, but except that it's just to me then. So what Quinsigamond gets is they get somebody who has all of that life experience, plus then somebody who had teaching experience. I'm guessing there's only so many people that those qualifications I think are probably fairly rare.
Yeah, and you mentioned it a few moments ago. It is difficult to transition from the generic career where you're working for a company into teaching. One of the biggest differences is obviously a salary, but there's a lot less stress being a faculty member. There's a lot more enjoyment, even though I've had some jobs some positions that I've absolutely loved.
No, again, but we're back to the passion, and I understand. I mean, you had the passion when you were doing your job too, but you have a passion now to share that with people and to teach young people. We keep coming back to this over and over on QCC's Face the Region, but Quinsigamond Community College is among the best schools, not among the best community colleges, but among the best schools in the area and in America.
Absolutely. I think I look across at my colleagues and my peers, and you'll see a similar story. Quinsig has an uncanny knack of hiring people that have experience, and certainly in the technology and career fields, that's a huge bonus. But Jacob Longacre, Jim Heffernan, my colleague Damian Kieran, we all come from industry, so we have a little something else to bring into the classroom, which is always good.
Fantastic. Lee Duerden is with us. We're going to hear just a little bit more straight ahead. We'll talk about a little bit about the practical physics, the daily life and science that is happening here at Quinsigamond Community College with Lee, and we're going to do that straight ahead on News and Talk Radio, AM 830 WCRN. This is QCC's Face the Region. Lee Duerden is our guest. It's a faculty spotlight, and what we've been doing every once in a while, we'll bring you somebody that you've heard speak with us, that you've heard on the show over the last couple of years, but we want to bring you a little bit about who they are so that you can really get to know some of the people at Quinsigamond Community College. So Assistant Professor of Manufacturing Technology, Coordinator of the Manufacturing Technology Program, and we always, let you know exactly what it is that they do when we give you these titles, but clearly, as you heard today, boy, that doesn't tell the whole story, the way in which Lee was able to become a teacher and a professor here at QCC, and the education that continues, and the background, and just an interesting path to be here at Quinsigamond Community College. So, having said all of that, you bring that each and every day. Tell me just a little bit about life here at Quinsig, and just what it is, kind of day in and day out.
There's never any day that's the same. That's for sure. There's always something happening. There's always some either request or something that you have to deal with. This week is spring break, and I've been working in the lab on these machines, learning them, relearning them, trying to figure out what's missing. How can I create curriculum out of this? So when I'm not in class, I'm thinking about what can I do with this equipment, and how effective can I be.
Yeah. So this is at the Quest Center.
No, actually.
Okay. I thought this was part of the Fab Lab. But maybe
no. That's
okay.
So we have the Quest Center. We have the Fab Lab. We also have our original lab has been expanded for our new big manufacturing machines. So we still have a manufacturing center on site at the college where we house CNC machines, coordinate measuring machines, ferro arms, inspection equipment, all the computers, the materials testing machine, the laser cutter.
Wow.
There's a lot of equipment up there.
Yeah, and everything really, and it sounds as if everything has been upgraded as well, or continues to have new components come in. We've talked about this sort of from the student standpoint, even from your standpoint of here you are, and instead of kind of taking a break along with the students, you're in here figuring some things out and taking a look at it because it's exciting. From the employer's standpoint, the fact that you have this new equipment, the fact that this continues to go on, obviously QCC is a pipeline to a lot of manufacturing jobs here in central Massachusetts. Do they ever come by and take a look and go, oh, look at, you guys have, we know that they're training on the equipment that they're actually going to be using. You aren't 10 years behind the times.
Well, our advisory board knows what equipment we have. And yes, they do pop in from time to time. In fact, a few weeks ago, I had a terrific surprise. We hosted an event here for additive manufacturing, and one of the guests was a graduate of this program from 2001. He was one of the very first to come through Quinsig's manufacturing program. So after the lecture series, I grabbed him, I took him up to the lab, and I showed him where we were, and his jaw literally dropped. He says, oh, and his eyes just opened. And now he's a senior level guy at the company that he's working for. So he was excited that maybe Quinsig and private sector companies could work together for non-credit training, a week's worth of CNC training. When they hire somebody, we'll give you the initial training, and then you're going to run this machine. But there's lots of advisory board members that are working in the industry that know what equipment we have, and they're very excited for us. They're very excited to be able to hire our graduates.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it is exciting, and it is really a pipeline. Are you seeing more and more? You've been here 6 years. Are you seeing more and more people because some of the equipment that you've talked about? But are you seeing more and more people be attracted to these particular programs at the college?
We do have a rise in enrollment, absolutely. But I don't think it's because of the equipment, because they don't really see the equipment before they register for class. And I think there's been obviously a large marketing push for manufacturing in Central Mass and Mass, and people are talking about manufacturing and the jobs that are there. But I also think that our admissions department, they tell incoming students, they'll let them know what kind of lab we have and what kind of equipment we have, and that excites them.
Yeah, but Lee, that's a great point too. The fact is that all we heard for years in America was all the manufacturing jobs had left. The Worcester, was going to be boarded up because all those great jobs had left. But not only didn't it happen completely ever, but it definitely seems as if over the last 5 to 10 years, I would say, the story that I keep hearing being told is that manufacturing is coming back, whether it's in the Worcester area, whether it's in Leominster. I keep hearing that over and over, that, whoa, don't write off manufacturing yet. Coming back, the success of the technical high school in Worcester, the programs that you have here at QCC all seem to be evidence of that.
Yeah, I don't believe that really it left. I mean, the companies that left the area were large companies and decided to offshore manufacture. But you can't drive down the road without seeing a building, and behind that brick wall is some state-of-the-art manufacturing equipment, and most people just don't see it.
Right.
But it's everywhere.
Yeah, don't know that it is there. And putting the spotlight on Assistant Professor of Manufacturing Technology, Coordinator of the Manufacturing Technology Program, Lee Duerden. And Lee, again, thanks for being here. Thanks to all of you for joining us right here. I'm Hank Stoltz on News and Talk Radio, AM 830 WCRN.
This has been Quinsigamond Community College's Face the Region with your host, Hank Stoltz. Join us again next weekend on AM 830 WCRN.